Dirty Talk, the podcast with Bob Fryer. Keep the conversation cooler, get it on fire from the studio room and push through the wires. Learn how the brains groove and distinguished outliers, the artists you admire.
This is the episode 15 of Durty Talk, and I'm here with Shihan Van Clief. Van Clief. And for those of you that might not be familiar with his work, he is an amazing poet and a father and everything else. And this is part of the quarantine edition, so I'm in Pittsburgh. You're in California right now.
Yeah, in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how's everything going with the quarantine for you guys?
I mean, it is what it is. You know, I think in my head, when everything did go down, because it shut down so fast. It was just a quick optimal. It was like Friday, everything was chill. We went out Saturday, and they were already talking about it. So I run a spot called the Poetry Lounge on Tuesdays. So we had ran the lounge. They were already talking about it then. Went to another event on that Saturday, and there was, it was like 1,000 people at the event. So people like, comedians are joking about it. And then Monday comes and they're like, everything's shut down. You're like, what the hell just happened? And the ill part was that as artists, for the most part, we always ask for more time. We're like, if I had some time, I could do this. And when everything shut down, we had the time. I literally could not be creative at all. My head was just like, what the hell is going on? What am I going to do? What's up with the masks? Like, the whole thing was just an ill situation. So, after the first couple of weeks, kind of fell into what that routine was going to be, especially having kids not going to school.
Oh, my God,
still getting homework and still having to do homework and all that stuff. So it was a weird adjustment. But I think everyone's kind of in the same, unless you're like super well off, like everybody's kind of in the same situation where you just kind of, okay, I take my walks around the block, take a walk into this, I do this, I go out with the kids, they bike around this little parking lot, I let them go in the park, but that's about it. And then when I come home, I do all my creative stuff at night after everyone goes to sleep.
You know what? I do this, I'm in the same routine as you for anything that's creative. Is at the evening, because like we bathe and we put the kids to bed, and then it's like the time that we have together. It's a couple minutes, because right now I see my wife all day. So then it's like I'm gonna go have me time. You have your time, and we'll regroup tomorrow. How is it with your kids though? Like during this time?
I think. Especially the youngest, he's just extremely bored. He's like, I'm so bored, I want to do something. And, him and his brother constantly get into stuff. But his brother has a kind of his own lab in his room where he makes masks. And
nice.
He was like a Lego kid. So he has all his Lego stuff everywhere. And then he bought, his glue gun and his felts and his, foam and all this, and he makes these masks, and so he's focused on doing that. And the 6-year-old's like, I can't do anything. And my daughter doesn't really want to play with him, so he's like, no one wants to play with me. Can we go for a walk? I'm like, I'm cool for walks and going out and stuff, but you still got to figure out other things to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think it's a weird thing for kids, just because I think climate-wise, things have also changed. So even before this whole thing went down, I think kids growing up now just deal with things differently. Like, I remember being out when I was a kid.
Yeah, like...
it wasn't weird being outside at 12 and on my bike with my friends somewhere.
Yeah.
Now it's like, I don't know.
Well, see, I think times are different, though, too. It, like take the Rona out of this. Like, the kids now, everybody seems to be engaged with technology. Like, their heads are always down looking at their phone. And it's... You don't see so many of them out on bikes or just doing shit in the streets. Because when I was a kid, it was particularly in the summertime, I go to the courts. I knew I'd go home at 4, eat dinner, I go back to the courts, and when those lights went off, we went and did some other shit that it's like we hooped, and then it was like a little beer, a little bit of weed mixed into it, and we chilled. Like, we had a great time. And now it's like kids just, they're so involved with technology. Like I'm pretty sure that my nieces and nephews know what's going on in the world more than I do, because like it's like they're so into just researching everything and questioning everything, and
Right.
and in a way that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I don't know. I think I'm more open to my kids. Well, not the 6-year-old, but I'm more open to my kids going out
Yeah,
and doing things than my wife is. Like our daughter, like you gotta get out, dude. Like I'm so used to just friends just hanging out. At the very least, at each other's house, even if we're not going all around the spotlight. There's something about hanging out and interpersonal relationships that I think is lacking with younger kids. And then also now it's even more of this because that's technically what all they're supposed to be able to do. So it's like, dang, this is ill. So yeah, I know.
Oh, it's crazy. I actually had to run out, and I've been. It's gonna make me sound like an alcoholic, but like I've been itching for a beer. Like I just wanted that taste for me, and my wife told my daughter that I was going to the post office, and she's like, well, and my daughter's gonna be 5, and she's
Right.
like, well, just I'll stay in the car. I was like, no. She's like, I promise I'll wear my mask, and I'm like, no, babe, like you got to stay home right now, because my son's sick right now, and like so we're trying to avoid him getting even sicker. He has some virus, like he doesn't have the Rona. He got tested for that, but it's like can't do anything now, like and limit our interactions with people so they don't get sick.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So this is a weird time, man. It's definitely not the 90s or even 2000s anymore, because it's like I don't know. I'm just so stuck in the era where I grew up in, because it was so much fun. Like it's and like even through that time, it's inspired me through like my generation with the hip hop, the poetry, and just even the clothes. And speaking with you, like it's nice to communicate with someone who I grew up in a way listening to.
Oh, word.
And,
okay.
And it's like times have changed now, and it's like everything's accessible, and I don't think the generation, my kids, or maybe your younger one, would even understand.
Right.
So how did you get on the bill for Def Poetry?
So we run a poetry venue out here called the Poetry Lounge, and there are 4 of us who founded the lounge. It's myself, Poetry, who was also on Def Poetry, our DJ brother Jamel, and Dante Bosco. And Dante is an actor, and he was Hook, and he was Rufio in Hook, and he was like the voice of Zuko on Avatar: Last Airbender, and so he was acting at the time, and a director came to the spot and was like, "Yo, I want to put a poet on the Steve Harvey show." Super random, but Dante wound up doing it. So Dante wanted to be on Steve Harvey, and then like a few months passed, and the director said, "Hey, I want to have a talk with you guys." And then he said, "We're thinking about doing a show called Def Poetry. You want to be involved?" And then they hired me to get poets for the show. And so I used to watch a million tapes and like make phone calls and watch stuff with the director and like lay out the episodes and stuff. And so, or the filming of them, because the episodes, what aired was different than how we taped them. And it was like, it just happened to be that the director, Stan Lathan, just happened to come to the lounge, and because he wanted to have a poet, and then all of a sudden there's a poetry show.
Well, so they all looked to be on the same stage, or did the stage change per location? Because
no. Everything, all 6 seasons were filmed in the same space at Edison Hall in New York on 47th Street, and what they would do is there'd be a big whiteboard, and you'd have all the names of the people per episode.
Mhm.
So they would be shot that way. And then when we went to edit and put the episodes together, that order would change. That's why, for the most part, most introduced live, very few people. So he opened the show clearly, but then there were a few people from each episode that he actually introduced. Some would just have the name come across because he'd have a different outfit because it was a different episode he had filmed them in, so it wouldn't work. So continuity of that. So
No,
so it was all in the same space.
I'm pretty sure he personally announced you, right?
Yeah, he announced me, and it was because I went to meeting most before the show came out through a mutual friend. He came by the Poetry Lounge, and we talked there, and then show came out, and the way it was set up, it's a tiny backstage. So where you sit before going out onto stage wasn't much bigger than, it was like maybe 12 by 12, like the size of a regular small bedroom kind of thing, or like a bedroom. And all the poets would be in there, plus staff that they have, production staff running around with their headpieces on. And he sat there with everybody and just kind of talked. But when people performed, he didn't talk. That was one thing he did do. Like every time someone performed, there's like a little screen in the back, and he would watch and listen to the people perform, and he'd be like, "Shh, people performing,"
Oh, that's cool.
So so it was kind of it was a dope experience. I think like I think there's a lack of context because a lot of people now who didn't watch it like on TV, see it through internet. But you don't realize is like the internet wasn't really jumping then.
Yeah.
Like was not around like that. And so it's a weird thing being like, there was really no internet like that. So you had to watch it or see a rerun because you couldn't watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There was no YouTube. So it's kind of like a weird kind of thing.
What I remember from it was hearing voices and these words that spoke on subjects that I didn't really understand because I wasn't experiencing it. And to me, it just like hit home that like things are different around the world. And being a 19-year-old or even a 20-year-old, like I'm about to like start having my own life adventures. I was like, this shit's going to be scary. Like shit is real. But it was also calming seeing people that are living through something.
Oh yeah,
and still surviving, and it was, to me, it was inspirational. It even got me to start trying to write poetry, where it was garbage, and I just quit. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stick to drawing. Like, at least I can make a stick figure look all right. Like,
yeah, it shows the interconnectivity of things. That's what the shows did, and the stories and the poems that people were sharing. That's what it did. It was just such a moment to me. Like when I think about it in regards to my life and art life, and how it changed my life as an artist, and the opportunities it presented, but also the stigma that was attached to being a poet all of a sudden, like, and the idea from so many people that it was easy, right? Because when you're watching it, what it really looks like is just someone talking.
Yeah.
And we all can talk. So it doesn't seem like some difficult ass thing to do.
Yeah.
And that was a whack thing to have. Like, damn, this was a dope opportunity. Then people are still like treating it like it's a bullshit, like off to the side, like, oh, you do poetry? Oh, that's cute. Like, I remember when I did poetry, like, damn, this takes some work. You know what I mean? It's not just I throw some words and it just happens. It's some crafting. So, yeah.
Well, you said a line and in one of the poems that I like, and it's not just because of it was on Def Poetry and Sick and Tired. You said that you're sick and tired of Master P being able to speak on behalf of hip hop when he represents nothing of it. And when I heard that for the first time, I knew that I would appreciate every single thing that you ever put out, because I'm just not a Master P fan. It has nothing to do with the Southern hip hop or anything like that. I can appreciate I can appreciate all variations of hip hop and genres.
Right.
But I always thought he made a mockery of it and went to the stereotypical way, and you spoke about that. I thought that was awesome. Do you still feel that way?
It's a weird thing. So I have weird feelings about that piece specifically, mainly because I never really did it after that. I think I maybe did it a handful of times. I wrote that originally because I was in an argument with Mos at a restaurant.
Okay.
And because on one of the episodes I wore a T-shirt that had a line that said "Music is the new cotton" that I had written, right?
Yeah,
it was from my album that I had.
My head's too shiny.
Oh, so "Music is the new cotton," and I was eating, and he literally came up. I didn't know he was there. Came up to me, he's like, "Yo, can I talk to you outside?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. What's up?" We walk outside, and he's like, "I have an issue with what you said, about music being the new cotton, da 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 da. What about Miles Davis or Billie Holiday or Jimi Hendrix and blah, blah, blah?" And I said, well, they all were addicts. So they all were slaves to something. So that statement still plays. And we got in this thing outside the restaurant, just back and forth. And it was like, it was all these poets from the Loud and his brother and sister. Yeah. And it was just like a weird, like, we're arguing like in front of this freaking restaurant and this like cafe called Swinger. And I wrote that Sick and Tired in response to that conversation.
Yeah.
Right? It was more of a conversation. Like he did, got back and forth. But that conversation, so when I did it, it was kind of saying to him, I was literally talking to him.
Okay.
In how I felt. But when I look back at it, also clearly, I was way younger. So how I think of that now, I think of of how that could be perceived and how I, some of the stuff I said in there, I was like, dang, I wouldn't say it like that anymore. Just because, my mentality's changed, like my awareness, my experience has changed. But the thing with Mouse Keith, I won't say names and poets, but there was a poet that we were on tour together with the Def Poetry Tour, and super disliked the fact that I had that line in there. I was like, how come you never say nothing about no New York rappers? How come you never did it? Like that whole thing. Yeah. And at the time, I felt very secure in my stance that, I felt like he wasn't good. Like, first of all, on a level of talent, I felt like he wasn't a good rapper. So
he's not.
From
he still
isn't. Else, he wasn't a good MC in any way. Second of all, the music that was coming out just didn't sound good, And so the one thing I realized later, and it's something that I've written down and I had written down, and Dr. Seuss is just as important as Shakespeare, right? Because not everybody's here, and there needs to be a starting point for people to get brought into something.
Absolutely.
So in regards to him, the business ethic and the work ethic involved with getting his record company off the ground and created, and opportunities he created for people, was important. At the time, though, that didn't play. I'm not caring about the opportunity. I'm just thinking about the art. Like, this is
see, I agree with that. And I feel that way because it's like he knows something about business. He knows something about making an opportunity for himself and others, and in a sense, finding the right people to bring aboard to profit off of and make everyone gain. But I feel as a lyrical person, he's not there. He's not.
No, and I don't even think that's debatable. I just felt like at the time, the way I went about saying it, because I also think if I look at it separate from my feelings and just as an observer, depending on who that observer is, I could see it as justification to think hip hop is trash because there's some people that he might be the only reference point. So he might be the only person. And if I'm like, this bullshit, that shit is trash, that's whack, people who are like, hip hop ain't even music. could be like, see, they're saying it too. Like, I got a black dude saying about another black dude that they're horrible.
Yeah.
And so I looked at it in those terms because I was very clear when I did that poetry. There were a few things that I wanted to make statements about without being like overly like, this is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And one of them was like, I felt like I'm a big media person. So I like, I love music. I don't watch TV like I used to, but I used to be big on that stuff. But I'm also big on understanding the impact that those things make. And so when I looked at, media in general, I'm like, we rarely see like fathers and black fathers talking about being in love and loving their family. And I was raised by my father. I was like my dad was a single father. So to me, when I went on the show, I wanted to make sure I spoke about being a father, being a husband, being a friend, being in love, being black. Those things were important. And so when I did the kind of like, especially in Sick and Tired, like when I went on him and then I said something about the African models and they're just ugly. And yeah, in the moment when I said those things, that's totally how I felt. But when I think of it in terms of impact and what that means from an outside observer, it was kind of whack of me to say it that way because it justifies assholes' opinions about those same things. And I didn't want to help contribute to someone's negative viewpoint of us in any way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was the only like, about it that I felt after the fact. Even the director of the show brought that up to me. He's like, yo, dude, like, you got to think about how that looks. Like, you wouldn't want to say certain things in front of people because, it could have an unintended consequence.
Yeah, but I think no matter what someone does, like, especially now, because we're in a society of people feeling very attacked, feeling very offensive to everything, and and it's like we have to watch what we say on everything, and I in some way I think that holds artists back in a way.
It does, it for sure does.
And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
So like even for me, when I do stuff like, and I've done some religious pieces, but I will not do a political piece because that just turns into a whole unnecessary argument for no reason.
Right.
I literally wore a hat and posted it at the election that said, "Make racists afraid again." And I said, I did my duty today and I voted against racism. This dude went off on me about Hillary Clinton, and I'm like, I didn't even say I voted for Hillary. Like, I'm like, calm down, homie. Like I'm literally just, I'm making a statement that I don't stand for racism. In my opinion, I voted against it.
Right.
Which, unfortunately, that person didn't even win, and it wasn't Hillary.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it is a weird thing because I always felt it was important for me to speak what I felt. And to this day, like, in regards even to the lounge, to the Poetry Lounge, like, they have the whole safe space thing and all that shit. And, like, I understand what they mean, but safe space doesn't mean only safe for whoever wants to, for someone else's feelings. Like, if it's a safe space, I should be able to say what the fuck I feel.
Right.
Because it's my safe space too. You know what I mean? And also, like, that is a big thing with the lounge. I'm also, like, in regards to the poetry scene, there's been a lot of, like, trigger warnings. Like, I'm totally against that. But there's a lot of spaces like, so make sure you make the trigger warning before you start to let people know, just in case. And I'm like, then I think in every horror movie, like, you're going to say, okay, the guy's going to come out and stab her right now. Get out. Like, how you going to tell everybody what's up so they don't never get to experience anything? And I think that leads to the overly sensitive people because they never have to experience things. And then when it does happen, they're like, oh, my God. Oh. And you're like, yo, like, this is kind of life. Like, life happens. And it was that kind of thing. And I also felt like trigger warnings, it could be someone's scent. Like, it could be the smell of somebody's cologne. You're like, yo, And that's what triggers. So the idea that just what I say is the only thing that can be offensive or trigger somebody is so whack that I'm not for that kind of thing. But running a space now, we've had the lounge in June 2nd. It'll be 22 years we've had the lounge. Like, I understand, but our space was never that space.
No,
you know, and yeah.
So like you're saying, like with the trigger words and stuff like that. When watching, and I'm gonna keep, and I apologize, I'm gonna keep referencing Def Poetry, but I forget the guy that said the poem. It was I think it was called his Southern Heritage. He was a white dude.
Yes. That's Jason Carney from Dallas.
Yeah,
yes.
which I thought was an amazing poet.
Yeah.
When he was at the end of his, I guess, his poem, he mentioned, he dropped the N word, and
right.
I was like, but he wasn't saying it in.
Right. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I know the poem for sure.
I was like,
Jason.
I was like, you're in a room filled with multi ethnicities and colors of people, and as a white guy, I always have been just like, that's no, that's just a no.
Right.
I was like, but it worked into his poem,
right,
because
right,
what it was about, like, I was like, as you're talking about that just made me think of like a trigger word or a trigger moment that
right.
Like, on something like that, how would people react now to that?
It depends. Sometimes, depending on the spot, you may get people who say something during the poem. Like, if someone did that and kept on doing their poem and never mentioned that again, but someone might say something during it. Or we've had where someone got up on stage and some people in the audience didn't like a poem or whatever, and I got up to continue the night, and they're like, you should have said something. And it's like, yo, my feelings weren't hurt, so I don't need to say anything. And not everybody's feelings were hurt or felt attacked when they did that poem. You know what I mean? Like, I've been told, like, why don't you say something to so and so? They said the word. They said the N word, and I'm like, if it affected you that much, they're right there. You can go right over there and say something. If it bothered you that much, they're right there. You can say it. I don't need to say that for you. If it was you who it didn't affect me at all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I get it on both sides, but I don't like that game because I think it's a whack game to play, because it gets to a point where all of a sudden everything becomes like you could question every single thing and the reasoning behind why you said it and why you said it in the first place. And then even if you apologize, the apology's not good enough. So there's no redemption allowed at all with that kind of thinking. And it's like, dude, I can't play that game. Like, that's not for me.
Well, I'm glad that you don't want to, that you're not for censorship. I mean, not at all. Like, as much as I hate a lot of words and stuff that people say, I don't think it's my place or anyone's place to really censor them. It's
right.
like, I think what it takes is sometimes maybe an ass beating, that or just someone like verbally checking them, be like, look, man, like, you said this, without intention, it can cause this feeling amongst others. So maybe, like, but I think in an art piece, it's different in a way, I guess I should say, like, because I don't think Jason Carney was intending to be or trying to come across pushing a racist view or something. It was just just stuff that he heard growing up in the South.
Right.
And so it's nice that hearing somebody not want to hear censorship on stuff like that. And yeah, I'm sure you don't agree with that word, but at the same time, So moving from Def Jam, or Def Poetry, you released 3 different albums.
Yeah.
And,
and you know what? It's weird because I did Music is the New Cotton, The Poet, and Flow Motion. I think Flow Motion, The Poet, and Music is New Cotton. Yeah. And I did it because at the time I wanted to have some product.
Yeah.
Right. I thought having a product wasn't important. But now, you know, the era of carrying around CDs to sell is not moved. Also, I'm not trying to walk around with a bag of CDs.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I did my book, and same thing with the book. It was like, it's dope. I felt like I'm glad I got it done. I wanted to have something in print. And then I'm like, yeah, but I'm not carrying this around, you know? And so as technology changed, like, I go, am I really going to walk around with like a thumb drive or like something to get people to buy 5 CDs and a book? You know what I mean? Like, that's a weird kind of thing. And then, what am I selling this thumb drive for? Am I really saying, well, each CD was $10 and then my book is $15, so here's a $55 thumb drive? Like, you know what I mean? And you can't do that. And then it's like, well, am I really selling my entire life's work for $15? Like, I don't know. That's kind of weird too.
Yeah.
So I just decided that I was going to ease off of that and try and make longer form kind of things. But I enjoyed the making of all the projects.
Oh, that's always fun. That, like, I think.
I mean, it was great.
Yeah, like coming up with merchandise that is to me is always fun. Like, especially like when I put out T-shirts, hats, and stuff like that. I always get excited for them. And
yeah, I think I don't know. I felt like each of those projects, there was a very specific like goal to get across.
Well, you got my $10 for The Poet.
Oh.
I'll tell you that now, because I remember. How did I come across that? Because I think I still have the physical CD in my mom's.
Oh, word.
Yeah, like because I think it came from you. I think you mailed each one out individually, right?
I think I know I did that with. I know for sure I did that with Flow Motion, and I did it with Music is a New Cotton. I think there was a time maybe some of the Poet got sent out that way too. I know I did that
because I think it came with like a little card or something, or it was like thank you. It said thank you on it. And,
okay,
and it had your name. I couldn't tell if it was handwritten or like a stamp or printed out, but
no, it would have been handwritten because I never had stamps. So,
okay,
yeah.
So like as a poet, like you put out the CDs, and have you like because it's different. It's a different form of art. Have you thought about doing something else, like a T-shirt or a hat that says like something, or
I mean,
even?
I always thought it'd be dope to do some T-shirts that had like quotes and lyrics and that kind of stuff on it. I always thought that would be dope. As far as like merch was concerned, I always thought that would be dope. And I always thought in my mind, I don't know how practical it really would be, but I always thought it'd be dope to have almost like a Shihan Van Clief reader.
Okay.
Right? So like, here, I'm going to show you something, right? So this is random. So there used to be these books, like the Mr. books. Like,
yeah.
Right. So there are 10 in here, right? There are 10 books in here. Like, I always thought it'd be dope to have something like this with my work.
That's a great idea.
You know, like, and it's like a little box, Scotta said, whatever. I don't know what it would be fully, but I was like, that'd be a dope thing for me. It's just, I don't know how practical, because these tiny books this is heavy.
Yeah.
These little books are heavy, so I can imagine, you know what I mean?
See, I think that's cool, because like that reminds me of going to a record store, like National Record Mart, Sam Goody, and just like finding the box sets or an artist collection that they used to do, because I think Michael Jackson had one. The Beach Boys or whatever that probably had them, but I like when I used to work at the record store, I used to see all that stuff, and like to me that takes it back. Like that would hit home to someone like me, and I would.
It'd be dope.
Yeah,
I think it'd be dope. I think if you did something like this, or even if you did something like this and had a shirt also as part of the box, you know, so you got a shirt, you got the books, and you got the CDs, or not the CDs, but maybe like a something, but it's like a collected thing, and there's only so many made of the box part. You know, the shirts and whatever you could buy. But I'm talking about the box itself. It'd be kind of dope. It's just, putting it together, like designing it and getting it together.
Yeah, please do that, because I'm looking for new stuff to read to my kids. And
well, I'm writing a play. Well, the play is done. I actually wrote a play. We're going to turn it into a manuscript for a book. We're going to turn it into a book, and then I'm working on a television pilot right now. So that's just different forms of writing. Like, I always wanted to see how much and what kind of things I could write. That was kind of big for me.
So
that's why even on Deaf Poetry, talking about Deaf Poetry, I wanted to make sure I did different poems, and I didn't say poems about the same thing each time I went. So I made sure first time was about love, second time was flashy words, third time was fourth time. So each time it wasn't, he's going to say something about this again. That was super important. Yeah,
I love flashy words. I'm not gonna lie. Like, what hits home to me is Father's Day.
Word.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was actually the first time I had read that piece out loud. First time it had been committed to memory, and it was a big thing because, again, being raised by my father, being a father, being on the road, there were all these things. And when I performed it, it was one of the few times, well, not one of the few times, the only time where outside of my mother, everyone else in my family was there in the taping. So, like, when I got choked up and I got emotional, like, it was because everywhere I looked, because they didn't sit together, they were all spread out throughout the thing, because it's a weird theater, so they're all spread out. But literally everywhere I looked, I saw, like, my sister, my cousin, my brother, my dad, my best friend, and I was just like, and then I'm a Knicks fan, I'm still diehard from New York, so I'm a diehard Knicks fan, and in the front row, Patrick Ewing and John Starks are sitting there, and I'm like, oh shit, it's Patrick Ewing and John Starks. Like, I was just so caught up in the moment. Yeah. And then when it was done, the thing I always remember, one of the big things that I remember with Deaf Poetry was that at the end of that taping, I went outside to see my aunt, who came down, my uncle, hugged everybody, my friends, blah, blah, blah. And while I'm talking to my sister, they're like, the PA comes over and goes, do you have a second? Someone wants to talk to you in the lobby. And I go, oh, yeah, I'm almost done, blah, blah, blah. So I finish talking. I go inside, and Patrick Ewing is there. And he's like, dude, you made me cry. And I'm like, oh, shit, I made Patrick Ewing cry. Like, I was like, oh, my God, this is amazing. So,
see, that's crazy.
That's
so he gets dunked on by Jordan, and you make him cry with words. That's amazing. Like that. But that poem does that. Like, it tears me up, and I can remember when my father passed away. A couple weeks after that, I listened to it, and then I listened to it again on Father's Day, and I was, oh my God, dude! Like, I started weeping like bad. I mean, it was, everything's still fresh and everything, but I was like, it was a good cry. And now it's continued that I listen to it throughout the year to remind me of everything I do for my kids now is about being a father. It's about taking care of them, finding their best interest, and just loving them, and knowing that I will always love them and be there for them.
Right.
But I listen to them there. Like, I listen to that every Father's Day. Like that, to me, it's I don't know. It's a great piece. It's a great piece. And
thank you.
And you could tell that it comes from a place that is very honest. Mm-hmm. And it seemed, in my mind, like a vulnerable moment that you had that when you read.
Oh yeah.
It was just.
All
out great.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot going on. I was like, oh, shit. And I didn't want to forget because I had just memorized it. I'm like, just don't forget this. It means so much to you. All these people are here. So, yeah, it definitely has a place.
Now, like, when you're writing a piece, and some of your pieces seem to extend to maybe, like, from 2.5 minutes to 6 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
How do you remember all that? Because it doesn't seem like you get choked up on your words.
You know what? My memory was way better then just because they're like flashy words.
Yeah.
I'll give an example. Flashy words, and there was a poem called Wings that I did. I'm not on the show, but I memorized it as I wrote it, which never really happens anymore.
Yeah.
But it just happened. But then some of the others, it's a matter of just reading it over and over, reciting it, getting it in, getting it into my face, because I feel like it's a muscle. There's all muscle. You got to work it out, and then your body gets used to what it is, and so it's easier to remember. So yeah, that was kind of the thing. And I think I went through a phase where a lot of my poems were longer, and then they started to get shorter. And that was because of the director we had with that poetry, who was like, as a writer, you should try and be more efficient, or use your words, choose your words more wisely to get your point across in a stronger way. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to try and do like a minute and a half, a minute, like to see if I could still be impactful with that kind of thing. And that was a great exercise to be taught, and now I don't think about the time like that anymore. It's like I write till I feel like it's done, or, whatever I'm supposed to do. And writing with a different genres, so using screenplay writing or writing a play or whatever, that's a totally different storytelling, way of writing. So, I write stuff like that. And that's harder for me, because for me, it feels weird writing. That's a weird thing to write down. Like, Johnny said, like, I feel like, that's horrible.
Yeah.
But I realized that needs to be written.
Yeah.
And so I had to beat that out of my head. Like, okay, you got to stop being so critical. Like, it's important to understand how people talk isn't always the way you want to write it out, right? Like, some people talk however they're going to talk. They, they say like a million times, or they, so you got to understand dialect and dialogue and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, I'm pushing myself to learn that.
See, I wish I could have the memory of being able to do that. My wife will ask me to do something, or she'll tell me something, and 8 minutes later, she's like, "What did I say?" Somehow I'm like, "You want to buy me paint?" Or like I just say the random thing, and I'm like, "You want tacos?" I'm like, "I'll go get the tacos." But yeah, she's always telling me that, like, because I am very forgetful. So, like, I could not do your profession at all. I would have to have a piece of paper and, like, literally read it. And even reading out loud, I sound horrible. Like, have you read a Dr. Seuss book, like to your kids?
Oh yeah.
Like, when my daughter was born, I'm reading Dr. Seuss. I'm like, I have to go back to school now. Like, I cannot read out loud at all. Like, this is like I'm cursing out Dr. Seuss because, like, it's very tongue tied on some things. And I'm like, oh, like my daughter's gonna grow up thinking I'm an idiot.
How long have you been married?
We have been married since 2012.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait, no. Yes, 2012. And but we were together for a while, and I think it was like a couple years, and then I proposed, and now we've built this magical family that we have now, and I find she's a creative as well. She's she's a hairstylist. So her creativity is way different than what I'm used to. Her canvas is actually someone's hair. So
right,
and there's a lot of times where she's critical on what I do because she gives me the most honest feedback. Mm-hmm. Now, do you ever get this way? Like you think what you did was like totally great, and then you share it with your lovely wife, and then she's like, it wasn't so great. Like I don't get it. Like it hits me in a place where I'm like, oh, like I tried, but I appreciate the honesty, you know?
Yeah, I think it took a while though for me to have my wife read my stuff. I think for a long time I didn't let people read any of my work, like at all. The only time they get it is if they had something in mind that they bought or they saw me perform live. They would not get the chance to kind of see, the process and see what I was going through. But I think when I became way more open to it was, I think when I first started writing my play, I remember like going through it and be like, "Hey, can you read this?" And she's like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, can you read this?" And it was good getting feedback because it's autobiographical, so she knows so much of it. So her input and like her feedback on it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff I talk about, like, I don't know, like if I want to hear. That's messed up to say, but I don't think I want to hear your feedback. Tell me what it was like when I was with my ex or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, that's not for you. So, yeah.
So, when did you start attacking the stage and going up and reading? Because
94.
94.
94. I was I was a teenager, and I went to an open mic spot, and that was like a Thursday night spot, and that became my every Thursday. And then I became part of a poetry collective, and we used to go to poetry spots damn near every night of the week, like. And that was my thing, dude. Like, I loved it. And a lot of times it wasn't reading all the time either. It wasn't like I'd go and just read poems. Like, a couple of spots I would read, but a lot of spots I'd sit and just listen to people tell stories because I thought it was dope hearing other people's stories. Because I knew mine, so it's dope hearing other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And and so, but yeah, 94, dude. 94 was the first time I started like going to spots and like, I'm gonna do this.
So from 94 is when you started, and roughly what, 98, 99, Def Poetry came out?
No, 2000. So
okay, 2000.
It's kind of weird. So 2000 was we're going to do a show.
Yeah.
That's how it went down. But 9/11, the week of 9/11 was when we were supposed to film.
Mm-hmm.
We were supposed to fly in, and then 9/11 happened, and they pushed the filming to October. So we wound up shooting the first week in October of 2001, and then the first show aired in February of 2002.
Wow, I'm remembering it at 99. I'm glad you cleared that up because like my memory is shit on everything. But that's not that long of a distance for like great success, which led to becoming like a national slam poet champion, 4-time runner-up, I believe, right? I was doing some research, but you've also worked with Nike and Adidas, and
I mean, look, art life is random.
Yeah.
Right? Our artist career is kind of random because there's living as an artist depends on other people liking what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So no matter how fresh I think I am, it don't mean shit if everyone's like, you're terrible. So you get into a thing where if you can understand that earlier, I think you have more opportunity to succeed because you understand that people saying no or whatever isn't the end all, right? So you got to find your thing. But looking at it from 94, my first writing job was in 98. I think it was like 98 where I got paid like a regular amount instead of like poetry venue amount.
Yeah.
Like I wrote for Schoolhouse Rocks, and I was like, cool, like someone's gonna pay me to write. And then after that, they did like a Rock the Vote campaign. I was like, okay. And then I did a thing for Nike. And then once that happened, it was like, oh, so people will pay me to write and do what I do.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so I'm gonna figure this out. And it became a thing where I tried to figure out what it was I needed to do so that I could succeed at that.
See,
and that's what,
I think it's amazing that when I see somebody working with these athletic companies that that are not a professional or a collegiate athlete, and and they're using they're being approached to work for them or with them based on their art, because like there's other visual artists that I've seen that have done stuff with Nike, Adidas, Converse, and Vans and stuff like that, where they're not the athlete for what they're doing, but they're used, not used, but they want their inspiration in their art form, and I just think that's amazing. I personally would love to get to that level, or even have that opportunity. So like that's awesome. I really believe that.
It was, look, I was so surprised that those things, a lot of those things came up. I was like, wait, what? What? Pepsi? What are you talking about? Like, it was just so weird because, again, like, I was signed to Adidas as an endorsed athlete, as an endorsed artist. And I remember, as grateful as I was, I remember that whole negotiation phase, because they literally were like, here, take this. And I'm like, that's not a lot. Like, in my head, obviously I'm not, LeBron James, so I'm not getting millions of dollars. But I'm like, wait a second, dude. Like, it's my craft and what I provide that you're paying for. So you can't shit on me. You know what I mean? Like,
if you're good at something, you should be paid for it.
Exactly.
I really believe.
They were like, do you think so-and-so would say that? And I'm like, yeah, because you know what? Yeah, you're paying for what it is we provide. The service we provide is what you're paying for. So, and I worked with Adidas for 10 years off of that thing. So
nice.
Yeah, it's a different, I think now trying to figure out, because I'm not in mode to just perform to make my livelihood work. So, like, yeah, I'm not trying to do 1 million poems or perform for a couple hours or, that kind of stuff. And because I think I got, as an artist, for the most part, I got my fix of that kind of early. I was lucky to get it early, where I was like, oh, you know what? I got to tour. I got to be on multiple world tours. I got to tour by myself. I got to do the college tour thing, do a couple hundred colleges, and like, I got married and we have kids, and I got to do all that. So 20-something years in, am I really trying to just still go, here's my newest, even though I'm still writing and still putting stuff together to have? I don't know if that's necessarily the end game. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, so has kids slowed you down in inspiration, or have they given you a whole new light?
No, they've given me more to write about, for sure. Because I think I also look at, like, how can I perform, or how can I write for something for them, just for them, that they get, that someone my age doesn't really care about. Yeah. Like, writing for someone who's like my 6-year-old, writing for someone who's 6, writing for someone who's 13, writing for someone 18-year-old, and I think those things are interesting for me as exercises in my craft. And then, because I get to see people grow up, like I got to see something I created with my wife become like my daughter's 18. Like, we got to see her grow up. Like, that changes all sorts of perspective. And so it was inspiring. I think I went through phases of like, dang, I can't. And I think the biggest time for me that I was not as creative or wasn't really writing as much was when I was on tour with Def Poetry. That was probably the least creative I was over any period of time, because with the tour, you're reading the same poems every night. 4 or 5 poems a night for months on end. There's nothing inspiring about that. Like, I don't feel like, cool, and then we're getting on a bus and going to the hotel and getting on a bus, taking a flight and getting on a bus, going to a hotel. Like, that's not inspiring. That's like, oh God, my art is dying a slow death. And so, yeah.
Well, I think kids are inspirational for all forms of life, no matter what you do. So because they add spontaneous and just unnatural timing, I think.
Right.
Yeah. Now, a question I like to ask everyone who's been on the podcast is, who are your inspirations? Where does it come from? Like, because I've had some. I know visual artists always give a visual artist because that's how we are. But like for you, who like as a poet, a wordsmith.
As a poet, my influences, people I was inspired by. I mean, Stephen King, Nick Giovanni. LL Cool. As far as like early on, LL Cool J.
LL, gotta love it.
Who else? Like Michael Jackson and Prince and people who were like dynamic performers. I think did something for me. I was like, oh wow, like the difference between someone who was like a really dope songwriter but was not very interesting to watch perform.
Yeah.
Compared to someone like Michael Jackson. I'm like, this is amazing. Like literally you went, and people go, oh my God, I'm crying because you know what I'm saying? Like that's amazing to me. And not something I ever wanted aspired to be. I never want to be like that, like be a singer. But in my mind, I think everyone has fantasized about being some kind of like star like that. But
absolutely.
That wasn't my goal, but that kind of thing inspired me. I also think dancers inspired me. Just because I always felt like it would be dope to be able to create in another way.
Yeah.
Like I know how to write, I know how to speak and talk, and I always thought it'd be dope to just be able to move or like paint, like my friend could do, like paint something incredible or like that shit to me is like dope because it's not what I do.
Yeah.
Like I'm still inspired by people who do what I do, but I'm more inspired when I see other people creating and inspiring in other ways, and I'm like, dang, that's just amazing to me.
See, I would love to know how to be a b-boy. Like breakdancing to me is very inspirational because like it's the way that they move and it's the creativity in coming up with a dance.
Right.
And like watching Crazy Legs. Oh my God! Like dude's killer. He's killer at it.
Yeah.
Now, if I would go to your iPod right now, your iPhone or whatever, your device, and I hit play, what are going to be some of the artists that I hear that you're listening to?
Right now, you'll probably hear Run Jules.
Okay.
John Coltrane. Because when I normally write, I listen to kind of the same thing. Oh, there's a group called Electric Wire Hustle. That's dope. Electric Wire Hustle. Dang. Oh, Snow Allegra, singer. Like Black Thought. Salam Remy's. They're probably the second one. I don't listen to the first one anymore. The second one of those. Those are probably the main ones. Yeah. Oh, and there's 2 songs from Jay Electronica's album that I think are really dope that are in my little playlist of things when I'm writing that get played.
Yeah. So are you listening to music as you write?
So when I write in the morning, I don't listen to music with words on it. So I listen only instrumentals in the daytime. Mm-hmm. When I write at night, there's words playing and that kind of stuff. But I also have this is on my iPad right now. Yeah. Like on my iPad, I have a shit I listen to get started.
Okay.
And it's just 4 songs. Yeah. It's literally just 4 songs. But I listen to that and that has words on it. And then depending on how I feel after that, I can either put that on repeat or I move into another playlist that has other stuff.
Yes.
But at night, I listen to stuff with words specifically and with beats specifically that move more. because it's late at night. Most of the time when I start writing, it's like 11 something, maybe 12. And so I'm up to like 2, 3. And I don't want to put something on that calms me down in such a way that I'm like about to fall out trying to write. So I try and listen to stuff that keeps me kind of up at night. And in the daytime, I can listen to chill stuff. Because the sun's out. I got energy, things are going around. I try and also write in public places. That's a big thing too. Because I like movement. I like things happening. But when it's time, I take it from my iPad and I take it home and then I put it on my computer, on my desktop, and I do a separate thing. So I look at them as different processes altogether.
Now, have you converted to all technology for writing, or are you still using pen and pad?
There's specific things I still use pen and pad for.
Okay.
But most of the stuff now, it'll start pen and pad when I'm like ideating, getting ideas down, and then I have to get in there because there's format involved that I don't want to write shit in format because that would be unnecessary because no one's going to read a script, like a handwritten script, which in my head kind of would look dope. But no one wants a handwritten script. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to think now, man. Like you answered everything that I've wanted to ask you because like seeing you perform on TV and just kind of following your career and seeing like everyone that you've worked that you've done work for and just watching it, and I recently just watched your TED Talk.
Oh.
Which I thought that was cool because like that is something that I like is very inspiring for me because I would love to do a TED Talk, even though like I'm semi like half an idiot, but I think like the creatives really need to come out and speak on how it can be. Like I like before this quarantine, I had 2 things lined up where I was actually going to go talk to the high school kids about being an artist and like that's something like I watched the one guy from our town who did a TED Talk, and it was kind of, I'm not trying to diss him or slam him, but it was kind of like not realistic in a way. Like I would like to hear the brutal truth and soften down, but like the honesty, how hard it is to be an artist. Like it. Because like you mentioned, people have to like your stuff for you to survive. They're gonna want to have to buy it. Or subscribe to a channel or download your music and stuff or your poems. So like that's something that I would try to get into.
Right. I mean, and that's a talent too, like writing those things out and figuring it out and like, making sure everything works. Like that was the thing when I did mine that like the screen wasn't working. I literally was like, I gotta pull my phone out right now. Yeah. That's totally not what I was planning to do at all. I am gonna read off the phone, like, because it still has to happen. But yeah, like, I would love the opportunity to do another one because I have something very specific I want to talk about in regards to that. But yeah, I think we all should have things we aspire or inspired to achieve in some way.
Yeah. Now, do your kids realize the talent that you have? That how influential you are?
I know my 6-year-old doesn't care.
Yeah.
My 18-year-old, she knows. She's seen my play. It's a 1-person show. She saw it done twice.
Okay.
She watched it twice, like willfully, like watched it again. And so she kind of does, she don't want to give me dap for it.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, and like her friends will be like, oh, your dad was on the explore page on my Instagram or whatever. And then she's like, my friends all follow you now and it's so terrible or whatever. And my 13-year-old, he does, but he's more interested. I don't know, like one of his teachers asked me to come to his school this past semester, and I went and spoke to this whole 8th grade class and whatever. And he kind of knows, But I think he's an athletics. He's like likes to be creative, but he's super athletic. So he wants to beat. So his goal is to beat me in racing by June. That's kind of his thing. Is by June he wants to beat me in a race, and so that's kind of his thing. Like the fact that I can do more push-ups or that I can do more sit to him is like, oh, well, Dad, I just did 75 push-ups. Like that's his thing.
Yeah.
So
he's very competitive.
Yeah. So my physical talents are more interesting to him than my artistic life.
What I realized is when I took my daughter to the Andy Warhol, and they have a couple Basquiat paintings, and when she saw those, she thought I did them. Like, and she was so proud to see like these paintings in this place where we had to pay to get into.
Right.
And I felt horrible crushing her dreams. But there are certain things I will not lie to her about. And I would not take credit for a Basquiat painting. I was like, no, this is not Daddy's painting. This is a very popular and famous artist. And she was like, you. I'm like, no. I was like, no, baby. I was like, when we get home, I'm gonna show you some of his paintings, and you're gonna love them. I guarantee you. And that's what it turned into. And she came home with a pair of Andy Warhol socks. So I. Like after that, it like she doesn't think I'm famous at all. So and I'm cool with that. Well, you know what? I've kept you from your family long enough, and
they just walked in. My 6-year-old just walked in. He's like,
well, you know what? I'll let you get back to your 6-year-old, and I got to say thank you for taking the time to chat with me.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah. I appreciate it.
And thank you for following me on Instagram. It's just an honor. Like I love your craft. I love what you do. I respect you as a parent, a poet, and as a person. I have so much like just genuinely like admiration for you. Like I just think you're amazing. I love what you do.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I appreciate your art too. And I'm grateful for the shirt you sent me too.
Yeah.
Which is funny. So you post these, right? You post this video?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So super important. So I'm going to say it so that I can show my daughter. So you sent me 3 shirts.
Yes.
Right? You sent me the yellow, like the Dr. Seuss with the smog man, but the cat in the hat smog thing.
Exactly.
And you sent me 2 dirty shirts.
Yes.
Right? One of them looks like it has paint kind of like thrown on it, like where it's like little like streaks of it. It looks like could have been an accident, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's purpose.
Yeah.
So my daughter thinks I did that. And I'm like, why would I fuck up someone's shirt that they sent me? She's like, no, because the shirt wasn't like this when you got it. I'm like, no, it was. You just didn't pay attention to it. So it's just for verification that your shirt has
the drips on it.
Call it.
It's the drips. Yeah. It's the gray shirt, and it has my logo on it, or my tag that I've written, and it has the drips coming down from it. Yeah. I did that. Not your dad. So yeah. You tell her that and everything. So, but I love seeing the photos of you wearing it. I always get a kick when someone that I follow is rocking my stuff. Because it's like, it's a sense of like, you know what, like they appreciate me as in the same sense that I appreciate them, and it's always just happy to see somebody wearing it, and someone who I've been following forever is just amazing. So I thank you. And I'm glad that you got it because your neighbor or someone else got it, right?
Yeah, at first. Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I gotta send this dude another one because somebody doesn't want to give the package up.
I don't know where it went because I remember I was like, yeah, I didn't get it, and then the second thing you sent came to my box because I was like, yeah. And normally I don't have issues when stuff comes, but yeah, finally that second badge got to me, so I was glad.
Dude, I was on the phone with FedEx. I'm like, so you let someone take this package that was not the receiver? I was like, is this custom? Like, I was like, So you just give packages away? Like I started going off on these people. I'm like, are you serious? Like
Yeah,
I was just
don't know
so
who got
mad.
that first one, but someone has some shirts. Whatever you sent in that first package, someone has somewhere.
Ugh.
Walking around.
Well, I as soon as I get some more stuff, I'll be sending you some stuff, man.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, I'm appreciative of you. So go get back with your family, and
Will do.
during this time, please be safe and healthy. Maybe we could do this again sometime.
Sounds good, man. Be safe, and take care of the family.
All right, man. You too. Much love. Peace.
All right, peace.
Breaking down the atoms and fibers. Every episode a new story to be told. Dirty digging for gems and superpowers people hold. What inspires the movements and refusals to fold. The allegories know their glory now. Don't be snoring. Grab a coffee or a brew or two and open YouTube. Check out what I do. You can like and share it too. Show it to your family and every person in your crew. And put that subscribe button to use. Dirty Talk, the podcast. Brought to you by my man Bob Fryer, aka Dirty Art. Check it out.